Get to Old Navy now for up to 75% off clearance. Get the styles you've been craving at amazing prices with up to 75% off all clearance right now in stores and online at oldnavy.com. But don't wait. Deals this great won't last. Hurry in. Valid 12/26 to 2/2.
Welcome to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2018. Blasting off with some UFO reports, just to start off the new year right. Isn't that the truth? UFO sighting in Denver, Colorado. This occurred January 1st, 2018. UFOs waste no time. In brief, the witness states, "We saw hovering above Lockheed Martin, orange, then white, then faded out." How convenient. "My wife and I just left a concert at the venue. We were walking to our car approximately 12:10 a.m. Witnessed a bright orange-red orb hovering above Lockheed Martin. It changed directions but pretty much stayed in the same location, faded to bright white, then disappeared, as if it knew we were watching it." Isn't that interesting how you hear that with witnesses a lot? "I took a picture after it had changed to white, but disappeared before I could get video. Darn it. The time was New Year's Eve, approximately 12:10 a.m., January 1st, 2018. The next UFO sighting. This occurred in Miami, Florida on January 1st, 2018. In brief, they state, "Noted 3 objects in sky southeast of my position at home outside adjacent to Tamami Airport at 12:13 on January 1st, 2018. Noted multiple changes in position from hovering triangle to straight positions. Numerous fireworks in area." In more detail, they state, "At 12:13 on January 1st, 2018, I noted 3 objects hovering over West Kendall near Tamami Airport while observing my daughter leaving for her friend's home. These objects appeared with bright white, red to orange colored lighting and moved with numerous positioning formatting from straight lines to a triangle formation. These objects noted to change position quickly and seemingly strategically, almost in response to increasingly more fireworks in the vicinity of the affected area that it was near, southwest 152nd, as well as above the small airport. I continued to record using my iPhone 6S as these objects initially formatted a triangle hovering over the airport, then one object disappearing from sight, and another object coming from seemingly southeast of my position, and then formatting a straight line. Surprisingly, I was not alarmed by the subjects, nor surprised by their presence. Somehow, instinctively, I think, they were curious with the lights and noise of the fireworks. The one thing I am convinced of is that these objects were not drones nor fireworks. I decided to stop filming, that I had enough, and went back outside after 5 minutes, and no objects were observed." The next UFO sighting, this occurred in San Jose, California. This occurred November 8th, 2017. 8-foot diameter object, field, portal, stationary on highway. In more detail, the witness states, San Jose, California, about 11 a.m., November 8th, driving on Highway 280 westbound between Highway 17 and Saratoga exit. I saw a large object or field or portal in the middle of the left lane, which I couldn't visually focus on. Shaped like an onion, slightly wider than tall, very slightly pointed at the top. Okay. About the width of a car, so 8 to 10 feet in diameter, perfectly radially, okay, there's misspelling, radially symmetric, mostly opaque, black, or very dark brown. But the outer 1 foot from the edge was gradually transparent. It was so featureless that it was impossible for me to focus my eyes on it, like it didn't have a solid surface. It was in the left lane, and I was in the second to the left lane and drove right past it, and still couldn't recognize it because it was so difficult to focus on. Wow, this is weird. There was only one other car on the highway about 50 yards ahead of me in another lane, which I assumed avoided colliding with it. But other than that, this section of the highway was empty. It's normally pretty busy this time of day, but not packed. So this was only a little unusual. When I first saw it, I thought it was a large roll of wire fencing viewed from one end, because of the outer edges were transparent, but as I drove past it, it was clearly not cylindrical shaped, but onion shaped. Its position remained stable. It didn't move. I was driving at about 70 miles per hour. I would have pulled over personally and taken some pictures or something, I don't know. So I had to keep looking ahead to remain in my lane, but kept looking at it repeatedly to try and identify it. It was completely puzzling the way my eyes couldn't focus on it. It sounds like it was kind of flipping in and out of this stratosphere here, huh? I don't know. Or this reality. Yeah, okay. Anyways, continuing, I kept trying to assign an identity to it, but couldn't. It's not a roll of fencing because it's not cylindrical. It's not a huge trash bag because there's no solid surface. It looked like a field, which didn't make a lot of sense, but that's what it looked like. The center of the field was a consistent color, a very dark brownish black, like rich soil. It didn't look like soil, but that's the color, with very slight variation. Not pure color, but with a slight variation. After being unable to identify it, I thought maybe it's a cloaked object, some kind of visual distortion field. It's hard to describe how difficult it was to focus on. For example, are you familiar with random dot stereograms? Google it and find one. Sometimes while trying to focus on one, which involves crossing your eyes to produce an overlapping image, you'll almost have it, but not quite. It was like that, like my eyes weren't able to see the same thing, but each eye was seeing something slightly different. It almost looked like a hole. As I drove past it, it seemed that the central color changed the way a background changes when you view it through a doorway, moving at a different rate than the doorway as you walk past it. What I mean is, touch your index finger to your thumb, forming a hole, and hold it a foot from your face so you can see through it. Now move your head slightly to the side. Your hand and whatever you see through your fingers both move visually, but at a different rate. It was like that, as though it was a hole with a hollow space beyond it, which contained a very dark brown, slightly textured surface. That's the closest description that makes sense to me, but even then, as I said, it was difficult to focus on clearly. I called 911. Oh, good guy. I called 911 to report it while still driving. I bet they were like, what? An operator, a woman, answered, and I said, there's a large thing. I can't tell what it is on Highway 280, just east of Saratoga. The operator forwarded me to a second person, a man, to whom I gave the same description. He said, like a big beanbag? And I said, yes. Because that's the shape it was. I said, yeah, but I couldn't tell what it was. What is it? He said, other people have reported it, but they didn't know what it was yet. Oh, get out. He asked for my name, which I gave and spelled out for him, but he initially thought my last name was my first name. That seemed odd because surely they have caller ID and would be able to see my name linked to my phone number. I concluded the call. I considered going back, but I was late for work anyway and figured, well, it must have been something. Obviously, whatever it is, they'll haul it away. But in the following minutes after I arrived at work, and in the following hours as I thought it over in my mind, I realized that my memory of it was consistent. It really had happened to be a non-solid field without a surface and look like either a visual distortion field around a cloaked object or a hole in space. I checked Seegalert.com, that's it, Seegalert, which lists traffic accidents and objects on the highways, but there was no mention of it. It was quite large, and if it had been some giant bag of trash or a ball of junk, they would have had to block off the highway to remove it, if it had been solid. It would have taken some effort to remove it from the road, so whatever it wasn't permanent, or it would have caused a huge traffic jam while a road crew removed it. Based on that, it must have appeared and disappeared shortly thereafter. That evening I posted on Reddit in a local subreddit about it, in case anyone else had seen it, but nobody had. I don't have a photo, but it happened in this section of highway, close to this location. And then they give the Google location. Wow, that is a highly unusual and very unique sighting of something I have never heard of before in such a color. Portals, yes. Black holes in the middle of highways with some brown muddy color? No, I haven't. This next one is entitled UFO Landing in Chicago, Illinois on December 31st, 2017. And they state in brief, this is pretty complicated, but in short, it landed, exited, approached, ape-like creature emerging from a metallic light source. Oh, wow. It's getting fascinating. Okay, in more detail, the witness states, last night I was coming home from the grocery store and the entire sky for 1 second lit up like a flash of lightning. An orb-like figure with blue and pink lights circulating around it, oscillating, came out of the northeast and headed towards me. It then landed up in the trees as if it was an owl perching. It had the shape of about a 2-foot-tall owl shining metallic light staring at me, and then flew down and very slowly reached out towards me. I dropped my groceries and ran inside, and the house began to shake. Wow. When the house began to shake, a large symphonic hum occurred everywhere, and the entire house was glowing. All the lights were shimmering on and off. The preacher made a noise from the outside that sounded organic like machinery. Okay, preacher? I don't know. I just read it. I don't edit it. Whatever it was, it sounds horrifying. All right, next UFO sighting in Shoreview, Minnesota. This occurred January 1st, 2018 at 2:10 a.m. on January 1st, 2018. I witnessed a peculiar light, the witness states in brief, cluster of 3 white lights and intermittent red light from an east-facing window in my home. I had my 29-year-old son watch it with me. We observed for half an hour, hovering, bobbing, zooming, white and red lights. In more detail, they state, at 2:10 a.m. on the 1st of 2018, I finally decided to get out of bed in frustration over not being able to fall asleep. Oh, okay. I had never suffered from even one night of insomnia, but that is what I was experiencing. As soon as I swung my legs over the edge of the bed, I looked out my east-facing window and observed from my home in Shoreview, Minnesota, USA, a, quote, light or cluster of 3 white lights very close together, moving in a very peculiar manner. At the onset of my half-hour viewing time, a red glowing light shone from this object, and from then on the red light was irregularly intermittent. The object was far away and resembled a star, only much larger, first positioned at about 20 degrees above the horizon. It wobbled, hovered, it slowly moved from north to south and seemed to decrease in altitude and then increase in altitude, slowly but very noticeably. From my viewing position, the object was located between 2 large pine trees, as I had a suitable frame of reference for more movement. After observing this with my 29-year-old son, we observed and witnessed the object suddenly zoom, teleport, haha, they say, approximately 10 degrees south of where it had been. It continued to display the hovering, wobbling, almost circular.
Get to Old Navy now for up to 75% off clearance. Get the styles you've been craving at amazing prices with up to 75% off all clearance right now in stores and online at oldnavy.com. But don't wait, deals this great won't last. Hurry in. Valid 12/26 to 2/2.
Motions. It continuously climbed in the sky, and at about 25 degrees, it shot a beam of white light to the south of it, which reflected as an arc of light on what I assume were the clouds around it. About 5 minutes after that, it shot a beam of light straight down and slightly to the north of it, and a few seconds after that, another beam in the same path. It continued the, quote, hovering and ascension to about 30 degrees when we decided to stop watching. I'm hoping that others saw this phenomena also. I am interested in, quote, rational explanations of what I witnessed. I just have never seen typical aircraft behave this way. Personally, I'm amazed by what my son and I witnessed. I regret not having tried to video the event. The next UFO sighting occurred in Fort Myers, Florida on January 1st, 2018. In brief, the witness states, daughter and I witnessed object descending, ejection of smaller object, then immediate ascending of object, and disappeared. In more detail, they state, my daughter and I just finished lighting a couple of fireworks off after the New Year ball dropped on TV. Once finished, my daughter said, Daddy, look at that plane. It looks weird. After looking at the object, I could tell right away this was not a plane or normal object in the sky. I told my daughter to grab my phone as I continued to watch and study the object. It was shaped as a Christmas ornament, with a small handle-like object on the bottom. The object was glowing bright, gold, copper, red, yellow combined, such as lava. Once the object came to a halt, hovered, it simultaneously turned into a more of a bell shape, and a second, smaller object dispersed, descending. Once the second object ejected, the larger object went behind a cloud and disappeared without notice or sound. We could still see the color of the object behind the cloud, and then in the blink of an eye, it was gone. The secondary object was nowhere to be seen against the rest of the night. We noticed our cable boxes were turned off, which was strange as we watched the ball drop on TV and did not touch either of the boxes before or after the sighting. My daughter was scared as can be. She would not allow me to leave her sight. She was worried something was going to happen to us. I initially thought how amazing this was, but then when I saw her reaction, it was time to sit down and explain to her exactly what happened and what we saw. Fortunately, later on in the afternoon today, she feels much better and has more questions and is intrigued about the experience, opposed to being afraid. That's the UFO effect. What can we say? The next UFO sighting happened in Mississauga, Ontario. I know I messed that up. This occurred November 24th, 2017. 4 or 5 foggy type oval lights circling my house simultaneously join together, then split and repeat. Toward the end, mini circles also appeared next to the bigger ones. In more detail, the witness states, went out in the backyard with my 2 dogs and saw above my townhome approximately 4 to 5 foggy oval lights circling in a rotation. At first I thought this was an event spotlight since it was in the Christmas season, but there were no beams to the ground. Over time they joined together to make one circle in the middle. Then they would break apart and repeat the same rotation. I reported this MUFON form. This went on for half an hour. This is all I noticed, but for all I know, this was going on prior to my 8:30 p.m. notice of my event. My dogs did not seem agitated, nor did they even look up, but I felt it should bring them into the house. I kept checking every 5 minutes or so, and the same thing would happen. I am not tech savvy, and I don't have a smartphone, but I filmed this with my digital camera and couldn't see anything once I looked into the camera frame, and unfortunately deleted what I filmed. Just can't imagine. I should have uploaded it because then the objects may have been visible from the computer screen, so I don't have any footage. I called my neighbor behind me, and he went out to look as well and was perplexed. He too did not take any pics. Toward 9 p.m. I checked again, and this time smaller circles were around the bigger ones, as if they broke from the bigger lights, perhaps. Next check, they were gone. Because I was busy decorating for Christmas, I didn't check or report anything until a day or two later. Again, because I had no footage, I looked online for anything similar. The nearest comparison is on YouTube, a video called Mysterious White Lights Circling in the Sky. That video shows similar color, size, and movement. The ones I saw, however, were rotating in sync and joining in the middle, coming apart, circling, and joining on a consistent basis until the final check, when there were also smaller circles. I asked another neighbor of mine, who is an airport firefighter. He felt it may have been powerful laser lights, and if that were the case, I should report this to Navigation Canada, so such pranks could be investigated as they pose danger to planes. I emailed Navigation Canada and have received no response. I also called Peel Police, and this was dismissed and not taken seriously. I asked if there were events in the area that may have contributed to some sort of spotlight, and was told no. But no interest beyond this was given, other than the officer did ask if I had a photo, and I explained that I deleted what I filmed regrettably. He said no one from my neighborhood or surrounding subdivisions reported anything other than myself. Well, I guess it just didn't happen. The next UFO sighting, this occurred in Auckland. That's what it says, I swear. December 25th, 2017. Fast and silent. In more detail, the witness states, super fast, silent. If you don't believe in the secret space program, this is proof. Identical to that of a USA aircraft carrier in size, color, shape, etc. This craft was traveling at speeds unlike anything that we know of, except that of hidden black projects. If I edit or zoom further into this pic, it shows levels, doors, cowering tower and things, just like an ordinary aircraft carrier from the outside with anti-gravity. This thing is quick. I have a video of this thing, as with many others, crafts that people are total unaware exist. Apologies about such a small pic. Enlarging distorts it too much. Okay. The next UFO sighting. Oh, what a name. Oh, gosh. Okay, you guys forgive me on slaughtering this name. UFO sighting in Wallery, Nordbrabant. I am not kidding. Waalre, Wallery. And this occurred January 1st, 2018. In brief, the witness says, one blue UFO watching the various fireworks hovering, flashing, and dashing around. In more detail, I was downstairs looking at the fireworks in the sky from my living room. I noticed a blue light amongst the fireworks, but it wasn't part of it. When it hovered, it flashed blue. When it moved from one point in the sky to another, it didn't flash, but stayed blue. It seemed to be interested in the fireworks. Here goes another one. So we see a pattern, don't we? Going from one display to the other, I thought it could be a drone, but who would put a drone in harm's way? Plus, it stayed up for 20 minutes. Pretty long. And it could dash around real fast. It could hover in one place and then dash away, fast or slow, but unearthly fast as well. I was calm and interested. This wasn't the first UFO I had seen. I am not afraid, but instead interested. I lost sight of the object when it moved right away from my window view. Okay. In carrying on in sharing some inspirational stories of miracles and angels to bring in our new year properly, I am going to commence in reading some off to you. This one is entitled Guardian Angel Encounters. This person states, at 18, I was in a car wreck. Out of nowhere, a lady in white clothes, like a nurse, appeared. She held a towel to my head, stopping my severe bleeding as the fire trucks were coming. She said, "You will be fine now." I looked away and she was gone. I asked the fireman, "Where was the lady?" He said, "What lady?" I pointed to where she had come from, and he said she could not have come from that area. It was a 500-foot cliff to the Pacific Ocean. She said, "I heard the accident and was at the beach and came to help you. All of my friends saw her 30 years later. My girlfriend died the next day." What? I am walking to my dog crying, wishing it was me instead of her. A gold truck drives up. The blonde lady gets out and walks over to me and says, "You are going to be okay. Everything will be fine." She walks away and I turn around and realize it's her again, my guardian angel. Wow, that gave me goosebumps. A little confusing, but goosebumpy. Next story, Angel's Touch. My mom passed away June 2011. About a month after her death, I was at a fair, crying a lot. That night I felt a touch on my arm coming directly from above me. I realized it was Mom, and I felt so comforted. It was the same exact touch I wanted to give her to say goodbye in the coffin, and could not. Oh, wow. This next one is called Beloved Angel. I had an experience where I felt something is touching my head in a strange but soft manner. And I knew I received a blessing because I was from church that day, and from time to time I also see this little orb. And for some reason I just had a feeling it was my angel. And whenever I see it, I smile and say, "Amen." All right, this next one is called Angelic Visitation. It was on 2011, May. I was not feeling well. Everything seemed to be falling down. I would spend a lot of time on Facebook and the internet. I felt I was challenged by evil spirits. By then, I was supposed to complete my authorization as a distribution regional controller and was tasked by my employer, Eskom National Control South Africa. Okay. I was feeling like I was dead most of the time, would see my spirit get out of my body and wonder to my mentor, my dad, will come in a spirit form to bring my soul back to my body. Okay, a little chopped up, but I think I'm following. I thought it was one of the many dreams I had since I was young. I always had dreams until now, last year. The start date, it was at night. I was from my work place at midnight. I was walking at night, a risky place, Germanston. I prayed that night. I saw a light from above and collapsed. Then my hands were lifted up by that light. The same light picked me up and danced with me. Then I was happy ever since, as always now. Okay, very cool. Angels at Christmas Mass. My non-Catholic friend went to Christmas Mass with me and my family. He said that he saw angels, Michael, Ariel, etc., as well as Saint Lucy. The priest had lost an eye that year. She is the saint of eyesight, and her name means light, as well as Saint Anthony of Padua, who is devoted to Jesus, the baby, and also who was a great preacher, and the priest struggles with good homilies. Okay. Also, Mary Magdalene was there too. I was uplifted and felt that I was given a gift of having this shared with me. Okay, it's I don't know. I can't follow that one very clearly, but next one. Angel helped with emotional release. I know I needed healing. I wanted help to allow my emotion to flow out instead of wearing a protective mask or being like a statue. I asked an angel connected with Mount Shasta for help with these blocked emotions. Within 5 minutes, I was in tears of gratitude for a dear friend who brought me to this healing meditation. I cried every morning for the long week and released my uncried tears from old pain I knew I didn't have to remember, and I just allowed this healing release to begin a new journey for me. It felt odd not to be embarrassed by my emotional state of releasing, but felt so good to let go. I was so grateful and realized angels are always here for us if we ask for their help. What a gift! I have never felt such love, such freedom, such connection after this retreat. Oh, that was kind of beautiful. Well, once again, everybody, I want to thank you for listening to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Be sure to check out ufoheadlinenews.com every single day, and also tune into my other week.
Get to Old Navy now for up to 75% off clearance. Get the styles you've been craving at amazing prices with up to 75% off all clearance right now in stores and online at oldnavy.com. But don't wait, deals this great won't last. Hurry in. Valid 12/26 to 2/2.
Shows called The Outlander with Heidi Hollis. That's on Fridays at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and I also co-host on The Kevin Cook Show. And that is on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And please check out my paranormal comic strip, The Outlanders, at theoutlanderscomic.com. Everything I mentioned here you can find at HeidiHollis.com or InceptionRadioNetwork.com. And if you've experienced anything out of the ordinary and want some level-headed advice, or if you've seen a UFO, please be sure to share that with me through HeidiHollis.com or my email, dusoutlander@gmail.com. That's D as in David, A-S as in Sam, outlander@gmail.com. And remember always to keep an open mind so you can stay informed and inspired.
Get to Old Navy now for up to 75% off clearance. Get the styles you've been craving at amazing prices with up to 75% off all clearance right now in stores and online at oldnavy.com. But don't wait, deals this great won't last. Hurry in. Valid 12/26 to 2/2.